Looks like I'm on. Let's see. So this is my first time doing this live stream here. So y'all, please forgive me if I make a couple mistakes. We're trying to make this an improved, better product. So be on the lookout for it. I'm gonna have one of my I guess who we're working with today, and why am I working with him today? Well, I chose Kevin as my first guest to talk about branding, professionalism, making sure that your business, your work ethic is still on point, even though we're still dealing with, say, a pandemic. There's still opportunity for us to still work on us, still work on self-improvement. No, I'm not pressuring you to do it. Make sure you do it. But if you could just take a little step day by day, you can always improve in what you have going on. So that's the reason why I chose Kevin to be my first guest. Of course, Kevin is, I consider him a mentor of mine. He helped me get my business on point when I just started Wide Aperture LLC, when I just got out the military and everything like that, about 6 years ago. He was the one that helped me with branding. He's the one that helped me with getting my life together. I was a brand new vet, just getting out of the military, and I needed a means of taking care of myself, taking care of my family. Bills don't stop even though you're out of the military. Bills don't stop even though you change, have a significant lifestyle change. So I went from active duty military, wake up every day, do PT every day, make sure everything is on point, making sure that my oldest son, who was born at that time, was taken care of, making sure my wife was taken care of as well. And, I went from that to, you've got to find a means now of taking care of your rent, taking care of yourself, not necessarily having someone tell you what to do, how to do things, but, I just had to take care of whatever it is I had to take care of. So I've got Kevin. He's going to join me. Just a little bit about Kevin. So I asked him, hey, Kevin, give me a quick little bio about yourself. Of course, he's going to give me the long spiel about who he is and everything like that. And I'm going to add on a little what he shared with me. So I've discovered that Kevin is now the director of marketing and communications at Erie Family Health Centers. He is a native Detroiter. He's out there in Detroit, Michigan. I was there for a little bit. It was nice out there. Kevin runs the Kevin Davis brand website. Absolutely paramount in my professional development and others who've reached out for his assistance, etc. Kevin is also my frat brother, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. He is currently the International Director of Public Affairs and Branding and Engagement. So he's definitely someone that you could look up to. So I'm going to add Kevin onto the stream. Let's see. Oh, Kevin said, hey. Where are you at, Kevin? I want to add you on the video stream. Where are you at? Let me know when you're on here to do this video stream thing. Let me add you on here. Kevin, he is, one of those guys, one of those shining stars in the fraternity. And, I definitely got to give him his props for what he does and everything as such. So let me try to get him on this webcam video chat thing here. Give me a second. And as I said, y'all, take it easy on me. This is my first time doing this, okay? So let's add him. Hey, where are you? All right, so let me see. This video is being live streamed right now on my personal Facebook page, my personal photography page, and of course, um, it's on being shared on my YouTube as well. Kevin says, "I'm looking for the option to join, bro." Let's figure it out together. Let me see. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I add him on the actual live stream itself? Let's see. Two monitors. No, I don't want to share screen because there's no reason to share screen as yet. No banners. That's just the comments. That's just the private chat. Settings. No, not yet. Let's see. Camera, mic. No. So Kevin, where you at, bro? Where you at, bro? Kevin, where you at, bro? Where you at, bro? Hold on, let's see this. Is this it? That is not it. We're trying to figure this out, trying to go through all these little glitchy things about this new software that I'm using. Hold on, he's calling me. Bro. Did you get it? Yeah, you're like, now this is not the way how it's supposed to be, but because this is through Messenger right now. So that link that I sent you via text, did you get that? Okay, we're all figuring it out right now. Stay with me, y'all. Stay with me. Let's go back on the site itself. Thanks for staying with me, y'all. I appreciate the viewers. Wait, hold on. Let's add it to the stream. There he goes. Yeah.
Man, I didn't see your text message. I was in.
Man, it's all good, man. It's all good, man. Hey, I just want to welcome you to the show. My first little live stream thing, talking, about branding, professionalism, and just getting your stuff together as far as, a professional, even though we're going through, a once in a lifetime sort of thing, you could still snatch this opportunity by the hand and take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the reason why I wanted to invite you today to talk to the folks who'd like to, check out and see what we got going on. Check mm-hmm. out and hear your points of views as far as branding, professionalism, etc. So I want to give you the floor. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Brother Davis. Go ahead.
Thanks, Otis, for having me. I don't know if I have much more of an introduction than you gave me. You did pretty good because, as marketing folks, we know how to put together a story arc and control the narrative. You want people to say the things about you that you feel matter, things that you feel are important. But I think you hit the most important ones. Always first and foremost, diehard Detroiter. But I'm here in Chicago.
Shout out to Detroit.
Always have to let that lead with that in the conversation. But yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, talking about marketing and branding for a pretty long time. And it wasn't until maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, I started to look at what I was doing for just different clients and other people. Like, I should be doing the same thing for myself, looking at myself as a brand or as a business, because even if you are an entrepreneur or if you are a corporate professional, at the end of the day, you are marketing and branding yourself either for clients to work with you or for someone to bring you on and be paid for some sort of service or something to that matter. So, to that effect. So it's the same thing. And so since then, I've done that, and I started to look at myself as a brand
Mhm.
beyond where I work, beyond everything else. But what is Kevin Davis want to be known for? So, and I think that's what got us here to this point.
I got you. I got you. So, who is Kevin Davis? What do you think of when someone, talks about Kevin Davis? What is that brand that Kevin Davis is out there?
Man, that's a tough question. I would say I'm somebody that's always in the mix,
Hmm.
and always trying to help other people to establish their brand, whether that's professionally, small business, whatever, organization, whatever. I'm always that person that's looking to help them um, represent and tell their story. I think that's probably what I'm looking for. I'm a storyteller, but I do it in visual form through brand activation, messaging, and what got me to this point, it was photography. Using that,
Hmm.
photography is what got me into the doors, and then once I got in there, it became more of a relationship type thing. But I would say it's about branding. It's about educating. I feel like I like to educate people about different things or learn
Hmm.
different things. Um, and I would say the third thing is probably just being a relationship minded person. I value my relationships. I'm very protective of who's in my circle and who I consider to be a friend or someone that I can really trust. So brand messaging and relationships, I probably would say would be the best way to describe who I am.
Brand messaging and relationships. Now, it's interesting you brought up photography. I myself, I'm a photographer, but I was initially at first, maybe, damn, 25 years ago, back 1995, 96, Brooklyn, New York, as a young teenager, I was doing videography. I was doing, tell the story of the black kid or the un, underappreciated kid or the under recognized person in Europe. I got a chance to travel to Europe when I was a young teen, and I was
Mm-hmm.
creating videos and telling the stories of the Serbs, the Bosnians, and the Croats over there. And it was insane. It was fun, but it got me a chance to really get into the midst of telling the story, building the narrative, being able to be the marketer. They say as in history, those that history is always told by the winners,
That's
right?
true.
So if you get a chance to tell the story, to build a narrative, to be that winner, you tend to have a lot of advantages, I would say, overall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I heard you said also that you're very protective of the relationships that you built.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember back at any time where you went from the altar of that to that actual mindset? What created that moment?
I would say probably at the age of 23.
Mm-hmm.
I've always valued relationships, but and always been a social person, always just knowing in everybody and just in the mix. But
Mm-hmm.
I think what was a shift for me was when I was 23, I got fired from a job, um, and from that it changed my whole outlook for a number of reasons. One, um, it took my mindset from being more focused on delivering something for a company
Mm-hmm.
and losing my identity in the process to where when that job was gone, I had nothing. I had no identity. It was all tied into Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
the assistant manager, for this brand, and I championed their brand and I loved it. But then when I got fired, I really started to look around who was in my circle and who I felt had a role in the way that all that played out, or people that I thought would advocate on my behalf
Mm-hmm.
inside my organization that didn't. And I think that was a very valuable lesson for me to learn at a young age. Before even really starting a real professional career. And that shaped me going forward to where I'll trust everybody until I have a reason not to, but
Not to
that doesn't mean
trust.
that
Yeah.
I will I'm only going to give you so much. And it was when at that time, I had a lot of free time after I lost my job. So I did a lot of reading. And I think that's also where like my love of reading kind of kicked up. But I read 2 books in particular. One that I still have on my bookshelf right now. One was called Making Your Contacts Count. And that was a great book that just gave me a whole different approach to how I approached relationships, maintain relationships, and the different degrees. I didn't know that there was a difference. I thought everyone was just kind of in your circle and that's that, but there are different degrees of relationships that you have. That book helped. And then there was another book that I read called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And that book was written by Reggie Lewis, who ended up being the first Black man to own $1 billion company. And that book echoed what the other book had showed me, because he built professional relationships and held people at a certain distance based on where he needed them to be. And that's not, I don't want anyone to think that meant he was using them, but people had a certain purpose in his life. These are my business contacts. These are my bridge builders to connect me with other people. He had those relationships. And it's one thing to read a book that tells you the theory of how something works, but then when you see it in practice, that's when it clicks. You start to see, oh, these are the different levels of relationships that Reggie was talking about. And that is how he propelled through his career, going from undergrad at Morgan State to Harvard Law School into owning this $1 billion company with this group that's known for buying out other companies. It was bizarre, but it was all through relationships. And so I think that book is what changed my life at the time where I had nothing.
So there's a hierarchy, you would say, in relationships that you should have. Obviously, you've got your inner circle, the ones that build your morals and values. Then you've got your friends, and you've got your associates. Then you've got those that you know of that may serve a purpose or not. I really appreciate and celebrate that you bring up those points of views. Oftentimes, many people may not know how to differentiate who's a friend or who's a foe. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay.
People are very trusting just from jump. And I think that's something you just have to learn in time. There's no real rule book. I think you learn in time the distance that you need to create in these different groups. And you think about it, we do in our families. We have our cousins, and we have the cousins we're super cool with, and then ones that we tell our innermost details to, and then you have the ones that you just speak to. So it's taking the same principle and applying it in these different levels. And you got to figure out, what are you willing to lose, by having that level of vulnerability. How can this harm you?
There's a give and take.
There's a give and take. So, I'm cordial to everybody. I speak to everybody. And I think that's something that has helped me professionally, is I don't go in defensive. I go in and I give everybody's at 100% when I meet them. I'm cool with you. That doesn't mean that I share everything. You have to create those professional, or not even just professional, but you have to create boundaries for different people. And that's something you develop over time. You learn when to build those close relationships and when to keep them strictly professional or purpose driven or whatever. But that's just something that just comes in time, and it also helps when you get burned a number of times. I wouldn't say that. You don't learn from being burned. So
you said burned. As somebody who's been, I've been through that before. I'm a veteran myself. And not every soldier that I was, figuratively in the foxhole with was always my friend. And, naivety, unfortunately, made me believe that everyone was my associate and friend. And it's not the case. Heck, even your own blood could end up being someone who's not a friend or associate.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I've gone through the range of all of that, professionally, personally. But I think what's important is to learn from those experiences, but not to lead with those experiences as an indicator of how you should treat other people.
Like, don't let it be your automatic filter. You should come open arms at first, and then let people prove themselves.
Yep.
Okay. So how would you say that mindset and that approach has helped you or can help you moving forward as far as your branding style? I'm not talking about for myself or yourself. I'm talking about for those who may be looking at our video right now. How can that mindset help them with their building of their branding style?
I think I would say that learning how to navigate through those different relationship types is beneficial in management and leadership. In leadership and management, it's all about stripping down that personal, and let's focus on the business, unless the personal impacts our relationship or the work being done, whether that's volunteer organizations or whatever. And so I led with that at first. But personally, I think it's learning who you are as a person. You really have to be honest with yourself. And for me, that's something that took time to develop, having a realistic self-inventory of who you are, what skills you need to develop, different types of people you should talk to, different types of books you should read. So I think that there's a level of honesty that comes with figuring out how do you want to take that and incorporate it into your brand. And I also think that it's applicable for business owners as well. You have to treat clients a certain way, and that's your money. So you got to learn you have to learn different personality styles and communication styles, but you're never going to meet a new person. You're going to meet the same person over and over again for the rest of your life, but in different ways.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
It's you can meet somebody and say, you know what, you remind me of so-and-so. You never meet anybody new. The older you get, obviously, the more you build up this internal catalog of these are the different personality types of the people that I've met over my life. And through your experiences, you learn how to communicate with them or interact with them. Like you never meet a new person. It's the same person, just in a different body, essentially. And so I think that's beneficial as an entrepreneur. You're going to meet clients that may or may not be what you want to deal with, but you got to learn how to interact with them. Your team members. And I say that in a professional sense of just being mindful of how you show up for work, or just in general.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? How you show up for work?
How you present yourself, could be body language, communication styles. And sometimes it takes somebody to have that real strong talk, come to Jesus conversation with you. Like, hey, this is how you are showing up. That may not be the truth, but this is the perception that everyone has of you, or this is the way you come off in these conversations or whatever, through whatever experience. But that's one of the things that comes through experience, comes through growth, but being realistic and being mindful that there's always work that you have to do on yourself. And that's something that we all can't accept. And for me, that came up to me through a roundabout way when I got divorced. And if you've ever been divorced,
so time out. You're going down an area that some may think it's a little bit sticky, but let's get to that point eventually. Let's not get there quite yet.
But it teaches you about yourself. It does. Conversation, regardless of whatever the circumstances are, you have to look back and say, why didn't this work? And that is the same approach you should have in general. Why didn't this thing work? What role did I play that may have impacted someone else's actions that resulted in this, or whatever it may be? But that's that honesty you have to have with yourself and being committed to developing. And that's hard. It's humbling because we think we're experts. We think we know it all. And hearing someone tell you about yourself it's not cool.
You know what that is in psychology? When you think you're way smarter than what you actually are on a topic, that's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, man. And it's a humbling experience when in reality, you may think that you're brander, you may think you're the greatest soldier, you may think you're the greatest photographer, videographer, but You're not as smart as you think you are. And that may be a defense mechanism for some folks, especially in a hyper competitive industry, say as marketing or photography, or everybody's a photographer, everyone's a videographer.
I think it's especially prevalent among creative folks. And I say that as someone I can wear that rare hat of being right and left brain. And I know that creative brain, you do not want to hear feedback, because this is your art. This is who you are. And that plays out as well.
What Erykah Badu said about that?
Sensitive about my shit.
I'm sensitive about my shit. You're right. You are absolutely right, man. But it's a hell of a thing to be willing to take advice or words of constructive criticism from others. We have this thing now where nowadays we may think of someone being constructively criticizing of you as they're hating on you. Mm-hmm. How do you get past that mindset to become a better person? How do you do that?
I think you got to be mindful of who you're listening to.
Yeah.
I get feedback all the time, and I'm like, okay, cool. But I just, whatever. But there are people that I receive that, and I value their feedback, or I seek it out. That's where you should spend your time. And it's not about, someone being a hater. Sometimes there are people that you don't want to listen to, but sometimes you just, you know what, that could be true, but you have to figure out who's in your circle. That's when that relationship piece comes together.
Yeah.
Who you going to listen to, and you can say, you know what, hey, so-and-so told me this. Is that how I am, or is that what I'm putting off or showing up? And you have to be willing to receive the feedback, not just ask for it, but actually take it in and shut up and listen.
Yeah.
Social media, I think, can make all of this, it can compound it a bit more, because everyone has the ability to say something to you.
And everybody's point of view is not always important, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man.
And I think for me, I've always had a pretty decent sized social media group or audience, whatever you want to call it. But it was no more prevalent than when I launched Progressive Greek, when I did the website and the magazine for all of that. And people are so critical of everything you do. You didn't do enough of this. You did too much of that. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you do this, and that? And early on, I used to kind of take it personal, like, because I'm an artist. This is my craft. I'm putting this out here for y'all. And then you realize I can't look at it that way. But then there was some valid criticism. And then others just got to realize some people are just going to have something to say regardless. So you just got to just kind of push through and say, okay, thank you for that feedback. Thanks for sharing, and keep it moving. You got to be wise of who's in your circle, who you listen to. So otherwise you'll be pulled in 50 different directions trying to appeal to the approval of everybody. And that's just not realistic.
And how could that be damaging to your brand? That's the main, let's circle back to that. How could that be damaging to your brand?
How can what specifically? Trying to appeal to everybody?
Trying to appeal to everybody. How could that be damaging to your brand?
So, I mean, that's that whole jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
No one knows what you're known for. No one knows what your expertise is. No one knows what your, what your focus is. And I think what makes great brands great is their ability to focus in on a specific product, service, way of doing it. Mm-hmm. That becomes your value proposition. And, I say that from experience. When I first started out, I was doing photography, I was doing graphic design, I was doing website design. I can handle a client from A to Z, but those were not things that I was particularly great at. I could do them. Anything I do, I'm going to do a good job.
Yeah.
I will be excellent. But that over time, I learned, maybe I should strip these things off, because I can do them, but it's not what I want to do. And I don't want people to call me for these website projects when that's not what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so certain parts become resentment. But I think it's important to figure out those few things that you really want to be known for. And that's the secret sauce of your brand. So determine what is your value proposition. And so for me, looking at my background, I specialize in education and nonprofits. Like, those are my things. Like, I can walk you through the employee side of all of these different areas. I can walk you through from a client, from a consultant side. That is my jam. And even for individuals, when you're looking at building your own personal brand up, I can speak to that as well because I've done it. Like everything I've done through experience. It's not theory. And I take the same approach that I would at my job, which has a $70 million budget, to someone who is saying, hey, Kevin, I only have this number of dollars. Can you help me with this? I'm bringing that same skill set and approach, regardless of the size of the client. So that's my sweet spot. And so when people give me feedback and, hey, you should do these things, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But no, that's not what I want to do. I've built my skill set to do these 3 things, and that's it. And so I can charge what I want to charge. I can deliver the way I know I want to deliver. And if it doesn't align with those 3 or 4 whatever things, I don't do it.
Interesting. You said the word skill sets there. And, the theme of our discussion tonight is let's talk about what skill sets you can develop even during these tumultuous times, even during this, coronavirus pandemic. What skill sets do you think people should start working on? I'm not looking for the technical skill sets. I'm not looking for the, freaking learn how to build a bike or something like that. I'm talking about personality skill sets. You think people should try to have a grasp on that will benefit them once we're past this?
Well, so let me kind of route it around a different way. When we first got hit with this stay-at-home order, there are a number of memes circulating around saying if you don't come out of this with learning a skill, blah blah blah, then you didn't. It's not that you lack time, you lack discipline.
I was a fool in sharing something like that. I was foolish in that. Yeah.
And I think that applies to certain people.
Yeah.
The more I saw, again, is that listening piece. The more I saw further discussion around it, I was like, I didn't think about that perspective.
Yeah.
And so while I feel that it fits for some group, like I'm in that group where
I'm in that group.
I'm always looking for time to develop some skill or something like that. And because of the type of person I am, I'm always busy doing something else. And so now it has, thinking about the things that I would typically do after work, I don't have to do anymore. Usually it's for either the fraternity or it's for a couple other organizations I'm a part of. And now that work slowed down, I sat back and I was like, what do I do with my time? And I'm a busybody. And what I had to understand was that everybody's not a busybody. And so I wanted to redirect the question and to say that don't feel pressure. Anybody feel pressure that you have to walk out of this with anything. But if you are that type of person that feels I have all this time, this is our time to shine. But if you're not the type of person, maybe this is that time for you to look at everything that's on your plate. Look at what's on your plate, what's not on your plate, what should be there, what shouldn't be there, and really think about, does that align with your long-term goals or your time or your budget? This can be a reflection period for you. For me, it's some of both. Where I have the time, like I started my podcast. I've already got 3 episodes done. I just recorded one before this. For me, it was, let me just speed up some of these plans. Let me read a bit more because that's how I work best. But for other people, just take some time, just relax, embrace this time that you have. But so everything going forward, I'm not talking about y'all. This is for the busybody folks. I feel that there is so much training and just different resources that you can take advantage of now if that's what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely.
LinkedIn has so many different training modules. And so it goes back to the branding piece. What do you want to do? What is it that you are working towards? What are your goals? What are the outcomes you'd like to see? And then start there and say, you know what? I want to be more proficient in brand management or portraiture, or it could be technical skills like learning some Adobe programs.
Yeah.
And so now that you have the outcome, let's walk it back and say, in order for me to get to that point, I need to learn these things, and look at the different training modules and say, I can do this over 2 weeks. So I'm going to set aside time every day to do these things. So now it requires you to build a different level of discipline in. And so if you're like me, you're still going to work.
Yeah.
But now you have more time because my commute is like 10 seconds from the bedroom to the office. And so that means I can start my day at the same time, but then I can read some more of my books, or I can jump on some trainings. Like I did a training on Adobe Illustrator. It was something that I've been using for 10 years, but there are certain things that I want to learn. I don't have time to do because I'm busy with clients.
Yeah.
Let me stop and learn this thing. Took 30 minutes out, learned it, and say, you know what? Now I've mastered that skill. So I feel like this is an opportunity for people to really go through their checklist of things that they didn't have time to do. But only after you look at what is the end goal, what am I hoping to achieve, and let's go back. So I think it's a good time to read. Just get back to embracing technology, because we are so heavily dependent. We wake up, and if you commute, like I'm in Chicago, so I commute, I take the train or the bus, which means I have an hour that my phone's in my hand, and I get to work. I'm at my desk all day. Then I have an hour to be back home. I have a phone in my hand. When I get home, I have to catch up on my clients, on emails, conversations I missed, who tagged me on Facebook. So we are all just so connected digitally. And now I feel like it's a good time to read a book, spend more time with your family.
Yeah.
But more than anything, look at this as a reset button. Either this is for the people who just want to rest, or the people who want to get busy. Look at this as a reset and say, you know what, when we go back to work, I want to show up this way, or I want these things to not be on my plate anymore, or these things no longer align with my goals. So I think more than anything, this is all really a moment of reflection to figuring out what it is you want, and developing that plan and just working towards it. I was telling my wife last week that I don't even look forward to the weekends anymore. It just feels like a long lunch break because I can't. So, you might as well just find something to do. And for me, that has really been just really embracing some reading and enjoying not being connected because nobody needs me.
I got you. I guess my thing that I've done to reset is I've started running again I actually ironically started running 2 days after Kobe died. Why? Because,
perspective.
He was someone who just lived it. He remained physically fit even though after leaving even though after living the NBA. And I said, I've been wasting my time just BSing, sitting around. I go to work, I come home, I sleep, and I go back to work again. I wanted to, first of all, get back in shape again. I wanted to drop some pounds. And what I've accomplished is I started at 270 and now I'm 248. So the weight loss has been great. And then I started looking at my kids and I'm like, hey, I want to be here long term. I want to be here for my grandkids. So I wanted to make sure that, my health is as good as possible. Then I started thinking of, okay, I need to, just get my shit together. Get my shit together is that humbling moment. That do I really have my shit together? No, I don't really have my shit together. And that's the reason why I did what I did. And, circling back to now the theme of what we're having this discussion on, and being professional, what's your brand? Developing a skill, even through a time like this, I think we've kind of hit all the points on what we really wanted to say. I think, I think this is awesome. Do you have any, parting words that you want to, offer to those who are checking out our vlog, our stream, and plug some of your businesses that you have and let them check you out?
So the only thing that I'll add, and I made it a point to write this down, is to look at this as an opportunity to focus on your ecosystem, your personal ecosystem. And what that means is your network. It could be your social media accounts, LinkedIn, your resume. I'm a big fan of preparing your parachute before you jump out of the plane and decide you need to see if it works. And as a marketer, we are always focused on the narrative and the messaging and the positioning and placement of whatever it is that we're trying to we're working on. And so I encourage people to take that approach to themselves and just look at this as that time to really focus on your product, which is yourself. Update your social media. Are you showing up the way you want to? Will it ever be called in question? I've had that happen before professionally, which was very interesting. That could be a whole separate conversation.
Yeah.
If you have a website, maybe it's time to update it. If you don't, if you're creative, you should have a website, or even just, I think any individual should have some sort of web presence beyond social media, because accounts get blocked and banned every day, and when that happens, does your entire identity go away with it? But then also focus on updating your resume. The best time to do it is while you remember what's on it. The worst time is when you need to fill it out because you don't remember everything.
Yeah.
And so I look at mine maybe twice a year and update it. Or if I have some major accomplishment, I make sure I put that on there because I don't want to forget it. And it's not that I plan on going anywhere. You know, not always that you're looking. My job can up and say, we don't have a budget today, going forward. And now, am I looking for my parachute? Is my parachute on my back and ready to go? And that's something I admire, a lot from the military is around that preparedness piece. And that's a lot of reading on now, just thinking from a military standpoint, leaders and how to prepare for missions or trainings. And I want to have that approach to my life. Just thinking about this, it's ready to go. I have my plan A, B, and C. This is all communicated. That's just my approach. But just take this time, use it wisely, and just take a look back at what you have out there. Is it what you want? Is it showing up the way you want to? Because if not, that means somebody else is creating a narrative for you. And that's not something that you want. Excellent.
All excellent points. Brother Davis, I appreciate you being part of my first, my first stream. I plan on doing this a whole lot more. I really enjoyed this format.
This is cool. I might have to steal some of this technology behind the scenes here.
I got no issues with sharing that with you, man. You helped me out a whole lot, so I'll, vice versa, of course, no problems. Thank you everyone for participating in this. Kevin, I appreciate you so much, sir. Hopefully we get to do this again. And
anytime.
You take care of yourself. I'll go ahead and go back to the solo screen. Thank you, man.
All right.
So that was my first stream there with Kevin. That was awesome. I look forward to doing more work with y'all. And I think tomorrow what we're going to have for our next stream is I'm going to be connecting with a local photographer here in San Antonio, Barry Luster. And he's going to talk to me about work that he's done, the photography work that he enjoys doing. Where does he see himself going forward in his business, and what things you can do during this time of COVID 2020. So y'all look out for us. I'm really enjoying this. Not too bad, I guess, for my first one. So y'all take it easy and take care of each other, be nice to each other, and be productive with one another. Peace.